من يهد الله ولا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا مولانا محمد عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم. The Qibla is actually straight, so if brothers want to move their lines slightly straighter. That way when people come in, there's more room, inshallah. قال الله تعالى في كتابه العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا استجيبوا لله وللرسول إذا دعاكم لما يحييكم. Allah Azza wa Jal says in His book, O you who believe, respond to God and His Messenger when He calls you to that which gives you life. After that, Allah Azza wa Jal says, know that God comes between a man and his heart, and that you will be gathered to Him. وَاعْلَمُوا, and know, وَاعْلَمُوا. And Allah uses the word يَحُولُ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَحُولُ, and know that Allah comes between a man and his heart. And we're also given advice to know and to understand that to Him we will return. Obviously this includes women, it also includes children, and anything else that falls in between. The Quran is the book that talks to the heart. And Allah mentions in the Quran and asks, do they have hearts by which they understand? يَفْقَهُونَ بِهَا. Do they have hearts by which they understand? This indicates that understanding is also placed in the heart. The mind has the capacity to separate between things. The mind can designate this is what's called taklif also, when someone is legally responsible. Someone is able to carry the burden of responsibility when they're able to designate between up, down, left, right. When an individual is able to know the difference between right and wrong, that's what the mind is for. The cognitive process of the mind is for that. But that's not intelligence. And that's not what the Quran was revealed for. The Quran was not revealed as an intellectual pursuit in the sense of the Western term. The Quran was revealed to guide us, لِمَا يُحْيِيكُمْ, to bring us to that which will give us life. And life is in the heart. Life is in the heart. Understanding is in the heart. Love is in the heart. A matter of fact, a person's entire being is all related to their hearts. Someone can go outside. For example, I can put on a police uniform. It doesn't make me any more of a police officer than I am now. Though I might look that way, that's not my reality. I can go and put on a clown suit. And though people might think I'm funny, I'm not that funny. You still know who I am. And likewise, Allah Azza wa Jal, our relationship with Allah. Inna Allah la yanduru. Verily, Allah does not look ila wujuhikum wa a'malikum. He does not look towards your faces, in other words, your outer presentation, nor your wealth. وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرُ إِلَى قُلُوبِكُمْ. In another narration, وَأَعْمَالِكُمْ. But rather, Allah looks at your hearts and the nature of your actions. So for us, our reality and how we gauge our reality and how we know ourselves, how does the Son of Man know himself? How does the Son of Man know himself? How does the daughter of man know herself? How do you and I know ourselves? And what does it matter if we know or do not know ourselves? Do I know myself? Have I asked myself that question at all? Why do I even exist? How do I gauge myself? How do I know my state? How do I know myself in regards to other people? Is it the standard that people who disbelieve in Allah would give to me? Is it the standard of those who are dead to Allah would give to me? Is it the standard of those who are living in darkness and have no understanding of their own reality, nor His reality, nor the reality that they're living in, nor the reality that will come after life? Is that the kind of individual that will tell me and show me how to gauge myself? The gauge is from Allah, and the gauge is the heart. There are some individuals, their nafs, their heart is in a state what's called nafsul amaratu bisu'. They are in a state where the self commands to evil. They don't see the light. Their hearts don't recognize light. And it's as if you were to put them in a long period of time, anyone, into a place that's dark. As soon as you expose them to light, how do they respond to it? They squint their eyes. They can't handle it. There's some people that though they look like human beings, and though they talk like human beings, and though they have the functions of all human beings, and though they have a life story like any other human being, they are in fact dead. And their hearts are not alive. Their hearts have no light. And those people are zombies. These are the individuals, when wrong is happening, they don't respond. When God calls them, they don't hear. When they are in a state of bliss, they don't thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When they're in a state of trial, they don't think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When they're being exalted, they think that it belongs to themselves. These are people that they are completely blind, non-participant in the fabric of reality whatsoever. And these are the individuals that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designates in His book when He talks about this nafs. Can we pull the door slightly, sir? Just a little bit? Not all the way, just a little bit. Maybe halfway. That's good. Thank you. But then when Allah Azza wa Jal wants to put the light of guidance, He wants to put the light of understanding, He wants to cast into the heart of an individual that ability and that capacity to want to draw towards an-nur, ta'ala, He gives it to who He wants. ذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ يُؤْتِيهِ مَن يَشَاءُ. That's the grace of Allah. He gives to whoever He wants. And everyone in this room has been blessed with that grace of being given the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inside of our hearts. So we can say for ourselves and thank Him as a result that when we make a mistake or when we fall short, we recognize it and we blame ourselves. Nasul lawama. We blame ourselves. Abdul Latif, why did you do this? Abdul Latif, why didn't you do that? Abdul Latif, why can't you go closer? Abdul Latif, why is it that you turn for everything but Allah? Why is it that you want everything but Allah? Abdul Latif, why is it that you turn this way and you turn that way and the last thing that comes to your mind is thinking about Allah? Sabbabul asbab, musabbibul asbab, the one who causes the means to come into existence. You're calling on this, you're calling on that, you're looking at this, you're looking at that. You turn this way, you turn that way. Abdul Latif, why don't you call on Allah? You ask for this, you ask for that. You ask for this, you ask for the other. When do you ever ask Allah for Allah? This is the nafs al-lawama, the nafs that blames itself. The nafs that finds itself qasir, short. It has shortcomings. It sees itself as being weak. It sees itself as being broken. And it laments. It blames itself. Nafs al-lawama. May Allah give us that nafs. If you have a soul in front of you, objectively speaking, if we look at a soul that does not blame itself, if we look at a soul that says the following, I have no worries about myself. I'm fine the way that I am. This is an individual that's not in this place. And anyone in this room who's ever found fault with yourself, thank God. Anyone who's ever been shown a shortcoming in themselves, thank God. وَلَئِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. And if you show appreciation, I will increase you. Say Alhamdulillah. If you see any shortcoming in yourself, thank God. Recognize the fact that it's been shown to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot see without light. Wallahi, I am nothing but a collection of shortcomings. So if I just see one of them, now I'm beginning to deal with reality. At that point, a person moves forward because the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made them happy. The remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made them pleased. The mention of Allah Azza wa Jal has brought serenity into their hearts. Because when they said, Oh Allah, I'm broken. Oh Allah, I need help. Oh Allah, I cannot do this. Oh Allah, what have I done? Oh Allah, what am I doing? Oh Allah, where am I going? Allah puts the sweetness of saying, Oh Allah, in their hearts. And there's some people that Allah won't answer them for a long time because He loves to hear that coming from them. Oh Allah, why have you left me? How can Allah leave you? Oh Allah, why are you so far from me? Huwa aqrabu ilaykum min hablil warid. He is closer to you than your own jugular vein. Shut your mouth. But Allah loves to hear you say, oh Allah, oh Allah, oh Allah, 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 Allah. And as a result, He gives that sweetness of faith that pumps itself up. And like a flame that's being stoked, it burns away all falsehood. The falsehood of belief in things that cannot do. The falsehood and plans that cannot be fulfilled without His tawfiq. The falsehood of all misgivings about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The falsehood about all misgivings about oneself. Please come forward, inshallah, fellas. The light of dhikr, the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. Remember me and I will remember you. This reality happens when a person is being tried. Because most of us, we don't call on Allah unless we feel that we have the need. But when Allah makes you needy, and when Allah makes you feel debased, and when Allah humbles you, and when Allah puts you into trouble, then you call upon Him with sincerity, and that is why any person who calls on Allah as being oppressed, their dua is, there's no veil between them and Allah. Whether they're mushrik, whether they worship idols, whether they worship cows, whether they worship their ideas, whether they worship aliens, whatever kind of object of worship they can imagine. If a person's being wronged and they call on Allah Ta'ala in that state, Allah answers the dua and there's no veil. And the secret of that is because at that point in time, that person is monotheist. That person has been removed of all assistance, on all help, and calls on the reality that is in their heart, like a person who is crashing in an airplane. You don't have to explain theology to someone crashing in an airplane. It's very clear to them. And they'll say, oh God. They're not going to say, oh stewardess. Oh pilot. They've given up hope in all these things. La ilaha illallah. This dhikr that comes in the heart that Allah gives us when He's testing us and trying us. The only thing that battles it is our ego. The only thing that battles that reality is our own self. The self says, I can do it. I'll call on Allah if I can do this, I can do this. Oh Allah, help me. There's still something wrong. Oh Allah, help me. Give me what I want. Oh Allah, give me, as if Allah is the servant and we're the master. But when the person has that dhikr in their heart and that tranquility comes by virtue of saying Allah, 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 that sweetness that comes inside the heart, now a person becomes an addict. You've seen heroin addicts? This is a different kind. These brothers and sisters are the kinds you see with dhikr beads in their hands all day long. They talk crazy things, they say crazy things, and for some reason or another their faces are completely lit up with light. May Allah make us addicts. When a person tastes that and feels that, they realize the secret behind the test, the secret behind the trials is that Allah loves them. They don't ask for trials, but they certainly don't mind when they come, because they know that in the end Allah will see them through. How can Allah give you and me a test and not have a way out? Isn't that a tyrant does something like that? Are we calling Allah a tyrant? Allah will never give you a problem, never give you a test, never give you a difficulty, never give you a hardship, never make you struggle. He will never cause you to have to rethink yourself. He will never give you the uphill climb. He will never cause you to feel the anxiety of inability, except that behind that there is Allah. Inna ma'al usri yusra. Who do you think the yusra is? Certainly not the situation that comes after. That's not the ease. The ease is Allah. Because that situation can blind you from Allah also. When you're in ease, you don't think about Allah. When you're in hardship, you think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can the ease that comes after the hardship be another trick? La. The trick is, the ease that comes after the hardship is Allah. And the one who's tasted the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the proximity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the reality of Allah, the closeness of Allah, once that has happened, even once in one's heart, a person is totally, faithfully, unreservedly, unable to turn away from the love of Allah. Nothing. It's like a man, and forgive me sisters, but I'm trying to reach different people. It's like a man who's been exposed to one of the wives of paradise. How is he going to feel about everything else on this earth? What about the creator of the wife of paradise? What about the source of beauty himself? What about when he shows his light in your heart?